Hello, Commanders, and welcome to the rngendgame, a podcast about the game Marvel Strike Force. Your hosts are Frid and Creative. We're leaders in an alliance from a large cluster, and would like to share our insights with you to hopefully improve your gameplay and overall experience, and give you a little entertainment. All right, Frid, episode 27, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. First and foremost, we want to give a shout out to some of our listener comments, and so on Discord, Cap'n Hoppy and OSubbed32 both have joined the Ragnarok family and let us know that they are enjoying the show. So thanks so much for that call out, guys. If there's anything you want to hear about, just let us know. Frid, I think we had some other reviews or comments.
Yes, so my favorite kind, the Apple Podcast review. One came in from City-State-43. The title was Time Savers, and I'll actually read it. It says, as a late game player, I really love listening to this podcast, mostly because of their Let's Run the Numbers segment, where they do the math behind special events like campaigns and milestone events. Very helpful, and it saves me the effort of having to do it myself. I especially love the mini episode they did just on the Negasonic milestone event, when we knew the real numbers behind the event. Such a segment has not been duplicated by the larger podcast covering this game, and I love them for it. Keep it up, guys. So that's very kind, and it was 5 stars, so I really appreciate the feedback, and we'll look for opportunities when that happens again to, do like a mini episode on just one topic like that. So thank you, and as always, this is my favorite type of review because it helps us get discovered. It puts us up in the search of the Apple podcast world. So thank you so much for the review. And with that, this week we're going to start with Let's Run the Numbers.
Yeah, so there's lots of things for us to run the numbers over, and we're actually going to have to split it over multiple episodes. But the first and foremost one is the Emma Frost Milestones. So those have started as of earlier this week, and largely things are very similar to the Symbiote Spider-Man, but the key difference is that there is one additional gold tier in the gold spend milestones. And so that means instead of earning 192 shards, if you go crazy and you spend the 2.45 million per day, you can get 220 shards. But do not go for this milestone, and we're going to explain that in a second. So first and foremost, for kind of mid-game players or even a late-game player, you should be unlocking Emma without any trouble. To unlock Emma in just this single milestone event, you need to spend only 525k per day, and that would give you 108 shards. So again, we're expecting all in-game players to, at minimum, unlock her. To get a 4-star Emma, you need to spend the 1.8 million per day for 3 weeks straight, and then the last week you only need to spend 1.25 million. So that's still a sizable chunk of gold. That's probably in the range of around 20 million that you need to have saved up. And then, so sorry, you cannot get a 5-star Emma Frost with this first run unless you want to go spend cores or real money. And so we wanted to, now that we have a model of what these milestones will look like, assuming Emma will be 3 events like Symbiote Spider-Man, we assumed that the additional gold milestone will let you get further, but it does not. So over the course of 3 milestones, you can only get a 6 yellow star Emma, and to do that, you could spend the 1.8 million in one full milestone, and then spend the 1.25 million daily in the other 2 events. So it's pretty doable. That allows you to save up enough gold for all 3 events, assuming they're not too close back to back. You cannot get a 7 yellow star Emma even if you spend the 2.5 million per day over all 3 milestone events. You would still be 150 shards short. So Frid, why in the world did Scopely add this additional milestone? Are they trying to trick the players into spending more? They're just trying to give us an avenue to spend all this pent-up demand of gold that we've had? What do you think?
Yeah, so when I first saw it, I got really excited about the additional milestone because I based my calculations on 4 runs of the event. So that's what I thought they were going for. It's like, okay, they want you to go all the way, and then by the time this runs 4 times, you will have a 7 yellow star. But no, it only runs 3 times if it's consistent. So that wasn't the reason. All it does is you can get to these star levels like a little bit earlier than anyone else, maybe by a few days or a week. That's all it does. So um, I just don't know. I'm not sure what this is for. I thought it would have some other kind of jackpot other than 1 shard. It's the most expensive shard ever, right? It's like
Yes.
like 600 extra gold to get an extra shard.
Yeah. Crazy.
So maybe if you bought some offers and you weren't too lucky, this will help you if you're a whale, kind of get there. But I mean, you're spending cores and stuff anyway, so I don't know. Why would you go this route?
Okay, I think we'll have to reach out to Zeeks and Cerebro over Discord or Reddit saying, "WTF? This doesn't do anything. Why did you add it?" So okay.
Yep. I want to mention one thing before we leave this, and that is that you have to be the energy shards are super easy. Everybody should be getting that. It's really achievable over 2 days. The alliance ones, again, you have to be in some form of an alliance that is active. I'm assuming if you're listening to this show, you are, but just keep that in mind. Very doable, but you have to be in an alliance to get those shards. So the assumptions are that you're maximizing both the energy and the alliance. So just want to mention that before we move on.
But these are still dramatically lower than Coulson's. So, those we had to really push. This one we seem to be doing kind of our normal behaviors and hitting it. So,
yep. All right. So with that, we have an event campaign coming up for Swarm. The name of the orb this time is called the One of Many orb. And thankfully, the drop chances are the same as Squirrel Girl and I think Taskmaster before. So the math is basically the same. So quickly, we'll recap this briefly. In order to unlock Swarm, you just complete all the nodes, get the free ones that you get through completing the medium or hard campaign, and use your free energy, and you'll be able to unlock Swarm. If you want to get a 3 yellow Swarm, you need to complete all the medium nodes if you're more a mid-game player and you can't do those really hard ones, and do 1 energy refresh. If you're a late-game player and you just blast through the hard nodes, then you can just use the free energy if you don't want to spend cores on this, and you'll get a 3 yellow star Swarm. Now, if you want to get a 4, then if you're late game, just do 1 extra refresh per day, which costs 50 cores a day. These runs for 16 days, right? It's the same. They haven't changed that. So that would get you it should get you a 4 yellow star Swarm. Or if you're like Creative or me last time, now this is rubbing off, then you need to do maybe 2 or 3 refreshes just to be safe. If you want to get a 5 yellow star Swarm.
Wait. Why would you do this? Swarm doesn't unlock any legendary. The team appears to be just another war offense. You shouldn't be wasting these kind of cores.
Yes. But if you're really compelled to throw cores and waste them on him, you would just need to do 7 energy refreshes. Again, this is only late game players, which will cost about 8,000 cores. And you can end up like me and not get a 5-star Squirrel Girl. I'm still upset about it. So I'm not going to do this time. I'm just going to do the 450, I think, for the gold and some of the other stuff. The other thing is that the orb has all kinds of characters. 28 characters in there. Thankfully, they left the swarm drop rate at the same, because if they lower that, then it would be really annoying.
Should we
But
really say thankfully? Shouldn't we say they should be increasing the drop rate?
should go back to the when Minerva came out. It was just Minerva. Oh
There
my
we
god.
go. There we go.
Yeah, that's true. We're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But I think for me, all of this stuff, it doesn't matter. I have a lot of the characters in there maxed out, so there's no incentive for me to go between the character that it is and the characters that are in there. I'll be doing the minimum for me. So
welcome to the creative side.
I know. I know. No more crazy 9,000 cores spent for no reason.
I mean, if it was somebody like an Emma or something, sure.
Yeah.
But, anyway. So we want to share those numbers with you. Everybody has their different take on the new characters. Some people may be super excited about Dr. Octopus and Swarm and Electro. And if you are, fantastic. That's a lot of cores. With that, let's our last topic before we do a little bit of a debate in the Let's Run the Numbers is talking about the orange uniques and mini uniques in the gold and war stores. I'm just going to give you a preview this week because I still want to have a larger data set to really kind of speak more definitively, I guess I should say. But I have been very, very frustrated with the gold and war stores. In a previous episode, I talked about I keep seeing the same stuff over and over. So what I did is I channeled my frustration into a tracking spreadsheet just to make sure I wasn't in fact crazy, and I'm not, as always. So in a future week, maybe 2 weeks away, maybe 1 week, just depends on what kind of data I get, and if I can sweet talk Frid into doing some tracking too. I'll give you some quick previews. So first and foremost, I have noticed some positive things. Before the patch, and I'd only done a little bit of tracking, but before the patch, I was seeing an average of 6.5 pieces between both the gold and war stores. And that was either pieces of uniques or mini uniques. After the patch, that has bumped up to 7.5 uniques or minis in either store. So that's good news that we're seeing more of these pieces because we certainly need them. The bad news is what we already know, that there's 26 uniques, 15 minis, and that is a total of 41 possibilities. But with the 7.5 pieces per refresh, the odds of seeing the one item that you really want, or the 2 or 3 items that you really want, is supposed to be about 19%. And so we have 6 periods over 2 days, and doing the math for everybody, that means in a 2-day period, you should see an item at least once. However, we know that is not the case, and I'm seeing some troubling trends. First, we already know that there really isn't any true randomization to this. There is some trickery behind the scenes, and that's what I'm looking to prove. I personally, and everybody, I'm sure everybody has the same situation for a particular unique or mini unique. I see carbonadiums for 50% of the refreshes. So every other time there's a refresh, I get a carbonadium. That's ridiculous. Promethium and Shield Tech, that's at a mere 40% of the time I see those. So there's definitely some malicious code there that I'm trying to prove out. The other thing is that the uniques are becoming much more prevalent than the minis. This might be because the minis are becoming farmable via the Doom War campaign, but we don't know when those additional chapters are coming, so I view this as a bad sign. 40% of the time, I am not seeing any mini uniques in the stores or in one of the stores. So 40% of the time, I have no mini unique, which I find very, very frustrating. So I'm again channeling my frustrations into some tracking. I'll do some more detailed breakdowns once I have a little bit more data. And Frid, I've already prepped the spreadsheet for you, so if you would like to join me in this quest.
I saw the spreadsheet. I was like, oh gosh, I'll think about it. Maybe it's for the good of the show. I did the ones you mentioned here. That is definitely some that I see constantly. So we know there's something to this.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the carbonadium and the promethium and the shield or a hammer.
Yep,
One of
that's
those
another high one
that
too.
that box. Yeah, I see those all the time now that you mention it. So it's very interesting. And the molecular cloth.
Oh
That's
yeah, that's
another one
another one.
that.
Jeez, yeah, that just wasn't as egregious as these. So yeah, but that's
But
another high one.
yeah. So okay. Well, I won't commit, but I'll take a look and maybe start looking at it.
I've got it all, so you don't even have to type. You just there's a drop down. It's easy. We'll talk about it after the show. Anyway, with that, last week we talked about wanting to run some numbers and really kind of debate about T4s, and we've done this in the past. I find it very helpful because we just kind of weigh some pros and cons, and I'm sure everybody has similar things. And Frid and I have a ridiculous amount of ability T4s. So Frid, why don't you give us a preview of what you're thinking about?
Yeah, so let's start by saying that I am at the point where, against my own desires of what I want to do, I am going to focus on war because I feel like, I mean, we're not doing U7, 5 or anything like that, but the Alliance, I mean, it's going to take a while to get there. And I don't think I need to do. I mean, I'm doing fine on the raids to get to 60%. Maybe when we start pushing to 100%, but there's not much more to do there other than red stars, pretty much. So arena, it's kind of a mess, but I'm hanging in there on the top 10, hanging around. Not as easy on the top 5 like before. There's a bunch of huge black orders in there. So it's a war. War is the next thing. I'm not. It's been a while since I've gotten an MVP. My defensive victories are not as good. I can't take down a lot of teams, so I feel like I'm muddling in the middle. I'm kind of falling behind the meta of war. So
let's tell the listeners what this is really about. I'm consistently getting more defensive victories than you. And so now you've got to try and up me. That you can just admit it. Come on now. Just admit it.
No. Yes, that's the reason. Now it's part of the reason, but also just it's the mode that I've neglected, right? There's
so much to do. Yeah.
Every new meta team that has come out, other than the Black Order, which is also war meta, has been war, right? If you think about it.
Yep.
Mercenaries, X-Force, blah, blah, blah. It's all geared towards war. And it's not changing. In Sinister 6, Doc Ock, also war. And I mean, it's the last kind of competitive mode. So I'm going to try to find joy in trying to take each battle and, do it properly as a challenge, as opposed to worrying about the whole war. I mean, our war captain does that. And we do want to win. I think we do pretty well. Anyway, all that being said, when we talked about it, it was 4 teams. So Black Order was 1. But I'm done with the Black Order. They're all T14. Thanos ult was the last thing that I wanted to do. And I feel like I'm done with them for now. So that leaves the Mercenaries, the X-Force, to talk about. And then Fantastic Four and Asgardians. Those are the ones. So from X-Force, we were looking at a recommendation here that said you needed to do Negasonic passive and Ultimate, Domino passive, and X23 passive. Well, since then, I've already done all the passives, so only left is the Negasonic Ultimate. And when we looked at this is an AoE attack, and I think it does, what was it, 40 or...
It was a lot more than the standard 30% to 40%, so it was quite powerful.
Yeah, so and she hits really hard, so...
Goes first right away, yeah.
Yeah, and she goes first and puts, heal block and all that stuff. So I'm thinking, really, I think I'm going to be doing that. And she needs to be level 70 for that, which is another limitation. Then we have the Mercenaries. So the recommendation here was the Taskmaster passive and the Ultimate, as well as the Merc Lieutenant basic and special. Now, I've already done Taskmaster's passive. And I want to do the Ultimate, but again, he needs to be level 70, so soon enough.
Okay.
When these two for Merc Lieutenant is where I start getting a little iffy about, is there any value there? basic and the special. And he's a minion, right? I mean, does it really make the team work? Is it that
Yeah,
that
I
we
mean, so the important thing first and foremost is Merc Lieutenant's abilities and the upgrades, at least if my memory serves correctly, are not war specific. And so the basic, instead of giving energy to like 2 or 3, gives it to all mercenaries. And then the special gives the speed up and offense up to everyone instead of 3 or 4 or 3. So what it does is it ensures that the main man, Taskmaster, gets speed up, gets offense up, and then also gets energy. And so, I mean, everything goes through him. And so, you can't get more healing out of Merc Lieutenant, unfortunately, particularly outside of war. So, but it really does make that team quite a bit stronger.
because it's like one and the other, right? Every turn. It's super quick. The cooldown on the special. It's like
very fast. It's worst case, it's every 2 turns, but I think it's almost every other. Particularly when you consider like the basic going off and giving everybody energy.
Yeah. It's kind of painful to do it on a minion, but I think it does make this team work. So I'd be looking. I'm considering it. Now here's two oldies but goodies that have to do with war, and that is Fantastic Four have Namor. There's some Human Torch stuff, but Namor has some crazy stuff for war. We were looking at this last night.
Oh my goodness! I was just reading and reading and reading. It was so much stuff.
It's like offense up to everybody and deflects and whatever else.
Yeah, so it was a flat 10% damage boost, a flat 10% boost to armor, and that's everywhere. And then in war, it gave deflects and offense up to everybody to start with. So you're going to be punching hard with Johnny. The team's going to have more survivability, and then it did even more stuff. I mean, I had forgotten how ridiculous that passive was. So
yeah, I think the fact that it has some value outside of war made me look at it again, and I think I'm gonna do it. But then finally, there's the Heimdall passive. Now this, I believe, is war only.
Yes, it's the defense ups.
Defense up for 2 turns. So what? Okay, so I've mentioned, I guess now, 1, 2, 3, 5 to consider.
Yeah. So let me ask you a couple of questions. So obviously you're not getting as many defensive wins as me, so you're looking pretty shabby. I don't think you can go wrong first and foremost on any investment on Taskmaster. So I want to do both his passive and his alt. I would have him at T14 already, but I'm still evaluating if I want to do Proxima first because I'm ever so slightly short on the skills because Taskmaster 75 on those. So, but I would still go all in on Taskmaster's alt. That does extra blinds, does more damage. Yeah. That's phenomenal. That starts shutting down. If you get an extra blind on, say, Pyro, that team gets shut down pretty quick. So that one's an easy one to me.
Yeah, no, that one I wasn't even. I mean, that's done. I just need to get him to 70. Okay. That's it.
That Namor passive, getting the value outside of war is just too big. I struggle with that team in Blitz because mine are, woefully inaccurate or inadequate, I should say. So I would do that one. And then when it comes to X-Force, if you've already done the passives on 3 of them, just go ahead and do the Negasonic alt. I mean, it's not like we were missing some of these and we're really struggling between 1 or 2 choices. So I think you've got solid choices on offense and defense right there. Now, Asgardians. Now, are your Asgardians lower than mine still in terms of they're not as strong as mine?
I don't know.
I haven't updated my spreadsheet in a while, so
so they weren't. They were a little higher, but because of the red stars. But I don't know. We haven't looked recently.
So I mean, all of us are getting wins from Hela alone. Giving her defense up in the beginning might keep the other members there. But we're already getting a DV or 2 for her alone in that team. So that one probably a little less on. It also doesn't have as much value across the board. So that one I'd probably put a little bit lower.
Yeah. There's a Loki ult in there.
Oh, yeah, also. I did that already. Yeah, that one.
You love that one. because you
Oh
think
man,
it's
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 the whole
awesome.
reason I lose to the Asgardians all the time is because Hela's stealth the whole darn time. I can't get to her. Next thing I know, I'm fighting 10 Gregs.
That's right.
So I definitely recommend, if you haven't done that one, I would do that before the Heimdall
Yeah. So
Passage for sure.
the problem with those two is getting them to 70, but I will because that the ultimates require level 70, but that's part of my plan. So um, let's move to that, like my gearing plan. I think I can do all of these, by the way, and not. I have like 2,500 T4s, and I need to do all of Emma, three of Emma, which is 600. So, and I think after all that, there's still like 600 leftover currency. So,
Okay.
um,
And
I
we're just getting so many of these now anyway. So I mean, well,
yeah, he keeps. It's just showering you
yeah.
with this.
One
Well,
other. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna start with that. The other thing to mention is that when people look at the bridge and see somebody with a collection power that's very high, they're throwing really big teams at me. That's why I'm not getting defensive victories. None of this creative, some flight deck guy. It's like, all right, we'll
Mm-hmm.
just throw some scrubby team at this and see what happens.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, I neglected this mode for long enough. So that's part of the plan. Um, I have I took a spreadsheet that we use, the organizer. I put every character that I could take to 7 stars in there and made some priorities now with the Avengers rework and all that stuff. And most of the leveling is levels, so level 70, so training materials and stars, so just gold and shards. There is a few characters that I'm trying to gear up, but I gotta be careful with like Emma and some of the new characters that need to come up. I was trying to get the mercenaries to tier 11 and also the X-Force, but there's competing priorities there. So it's mostly levels and stars. Venom, I want to get to T14. Emma, I want to get to T13. But that's it. So I have a spending plan that can let me do the 1.8 million a day. It's like 50 million over the next 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to complete it and level all these people up.
Now you sent me maybe a screenshot of that you would actually run out of training mats. Was that accurate?
Yes, I would.
Oh, okay.
Well, but you do have the calculation that says I would make them up in the time, but I would be at, I have thousands and I would be, flat at zero, which is crazy. I haven't been in that in very long.
I think you need to come join me in the woefully low training mat. Mine are actually not too bad because I haven't been spending any gold for the last 2 weeks. So, but yeah, you had like 70 of the lowest level. What is it? 23 equivalent, 23,000 T2 equivalents.
Yes,
that's just crazy.
Wait, no, it wasn't that high. Now you're
okay. Well, we'll look at it. That listeners don't care about that little thing. So, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's 7,000, right?
Okay. Well, so hopefully that debate helped people. It's very specific to us. However, these are things that I'm sure a lot of people are evaluating, and some of those passives and other things we forgot about. And again, all of that we can sum up with do the Loki ultimate. No, it really is good. The 2-turn stealth is what kills me every time against the
Taskmaster blind is the huge thing that's big. That's gonna do it. Okay, so I'll get them and keep reporting on how I'm progressing and whether I change my mind on something. A couple quick tidbit on red stars. I didn't even want to open them for Swarm, but I said, you know what? I mean, it has the bonus, so let's try it. I opened a few and I got a 3 red star. I did open my Elite 4s and I got a Thing 4-star upgrade and a Hydra Scientist to 5. So, not too exciting, but this character doesn't matter that much. So, that's all I got. So,
okay.
What have you been up to over there?
Well, so the one thing that you haven't answered me over Discord, so I'm going to ask you here. The Doom War campaign came out. Did you finish all of the nodes.
Oh, I must have missed it. Yeah, I did them all. 3-star everything.
Even the first two, the mutant ones?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow. Okay. Well, I need to talk about what your team is after the show. I have a feeling I already know that your Invisible Woman's higher than mine, your Fury's higher than mine, so I'm kind of screwed because of red stars. But I want to see what team you did. I am stuck on 1-8, and that's where the new Avengers are kind of dunking on it, but my Avengers are quite low. So anyway, with the Doom War campaign, particularly the 1-7 node and the Morrows, I finally have enough to get Carnage to T14. And so I will be taking him up over the course of 2 weeks or whatever it is to spend 10 plus million in gold. And then Venom has been...
wait a minute. So you haven't... I didn't know this, that you hadn't finished.
No, yeah, there's been a whole big debate in our alliance. There's a ton of us that are struggling with the last three. I did the 1-7 node with a shield team just fine, but I can't do 1-8. I'm getting blown out of the water.
So what I used was Fantastic Four and Fury. That was it.
And that, again, those were characters that aren't high enough for me. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I've seen different combinations.
I'm here taking it for granted, like, piece of cake, done. I've been farming Megasonic every day. And of course, she's the new Colossus that never drops. I've been seeing a couple days with no shards for her, but I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to talk about her, and we don't still know when Doc is coming, but I assume you're having to refresh the node?
Not yet, but I'll start soon.
Okay. So at this point, I really don't care about finishing the Doom War campaign because I got to the Morrows, and I actually don't want to say this out loud in case Scopely nerfs me, but I've been getting 3 Morrows a day from that node.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I have, and guess what happened immediately when I opened my War Orb? I got a gold 6 Morrows dropped immediately.
I did as well. That's too funny.
I'm telling you, they're watching.
Oh, they are. They totally are. So I'm not going to spend any time about my next focus because I'm not nearly as organized, and I keep having debates about teams. But I'm definitely going to give the Mercenaries a little bit of attention. This was really a good week for me from a Red Star unlock perspective. I've had a number of unclaimed Red Stars for quite some time. And so over the last week and a half, I've achieved my 4th Yellow Star and Red Star on Ironheart, my 4th Yellow Star and Red Star on Red Skull, and my 5th Red Star on Taskmaster.
Ooh, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so no, Taskmaster did not become farmable. You're not missing any news there. He just shows up in some of the orbs for me, and he showed up in the gold store for the 450 core. So I have finally got him to 5th Red Star, and so that's why I want to give the Mercenary some love, because I really, really like him. And then the other is that I'm going to have Cyclops to 5 and his 5th Red Star that's had for 8 months. So that'll be nice. And so yet more teams now are viable in the Red Star Blitz. I'm excited about that. And that really just leaves Corvus, Proxima, and of course Emma and Swarm. So good week for me. I'm glad I spent all those crazy cores on Yo-Yo, and I've spent some extra cores on Taskmaster. So I've got them to a better place. All right. Well, with that, let's talk about the news.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
And after many, many weeks of kind of a slow summer news schedule and cycle, things exploded this week. And so we had a patch. We had a pretty meaty blog post. We're not going to go through all those different things. There's other content creators that go through at a detailed level. But we were very focused on the blog post and an item in particular. Blitz improvements. Bum, bum, bum. I feel like we need some drum rolls, some fireworks going off.
I mean, confetti is like, woo, here we go.
Yeah, so they first started off with we're doing the changes mentioned in the 2020 preview, and I was sad-faced after that because there wasn't anything there that we really cared about. So first, they are giving us more rewards from the reward tiers across the board. They said almost everybody would get more. They're getting away from or removing the top 200 or 2,000, I should say, and everything is really going to be percent based except for the top 100. So What that should mean is that your ridiculous amount of time you spend blitzing will actually get you a few more shards. We still don't know how many that is. If it's less than 50, it's still not going to be worth it.
So why do you think they keep it cryptic like this and not just publish the chart? Do you think they're still finalizing? I mean, this is coming on Monday. It's not like, are they going to make some last minute tweaks? They just want to show us a surprise. Why would you just keep it so mysterious? I don't get it. That's
one, to get you to log in on Monday to actually see it. Two,
maybe it's like
let's remind you about the Chaos Theory event where they said it was going to be X and it turned out to be Y. So,
they just want to release it before they say anything, because who knows? Yeah.
So, yay, we're going to get some more shards. So that's nice. Thank you, Scopely. More free stuff for the level of effort that we put in. The other one was a really weird phrasing of basically only getting 8 chargeless cycles, which means chargeless attacks. So this means your free attacks. So if you attack and you wait for the cooldown, you attack again. You can only do that 8 times now. Who the heck is doing 8 cycles in a day? I mean, that's 16 hours of continuous blitzing. I don't get it.
I can tell you who it is. It's a little computer, it's a little robot, those bots that do blitzing for you 24 hours. That's who's doing it.
Oh, so Scopely just outed themselves. So they basically have revealed that they have not addressed the Blitz bot problem. Fantastic, guys. Thanks for letting us know that. I thought you banned all those people and kicked them out of the game. Clearly, not so much.
They're still in there.
Okay, so for those of you that are crazy and are waking up every 2 hours in the middle of the night, you now can sleep. Good for you. So this does nothing for blitz bots, because frankly, if someone is blitzing for 20 hours a day or 24 hours a day, that might be a clue that it's a bot. So, all right, anyway, the other piece was they talked about changing the point calculations. It was really cryptic. The whole thing seemed to say that they want you to do what they've always wanted you to do with Blitz, and that's make more teams and Blitz much, much more. And also to get away from leveraging a select group of really powerful teams, is which I have been doing with my lazy man strategy for quite some time.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what this means. I'm afraid here with this one, because this calculation thing is where it could really get murky, and somehow we get punished or screwed. But let's be optimistic and say that it's going to be better, because it's an improvement. Yeah.
And there was some wording about taking on a more powerful team. Like, who the heck's doing that at 8.3? You pick the team of randos. Come on. So again, let's just kind of sum this up. So we have talked at length about quality of life, and we focused on Blitz, and the dog is barking as always. Cue the dog. And so this does nothing about quality of life, because we're not doing 8 cycles a day. That's just crazy. Yes, you're going to get more shard for your effort, but it's not really doing kind of what we wanted. So what they should have done, I think, and I'm kind of throwing this, spitballing this, Frid, so you can kind of check me here, but I think they should really remove the cooldown altogether and just give you 8 attacks. Let you do those 8 attacks whenever is convenient for you. What do you think about that?
Well, that doesn't make you come back every 2 hours, and there's no money to be made, So they want you to come back and check it out and keep logging in, because that's how they measure engagement. So that's not going to fly.
Well, okay, so give me my 8 attacks whenever I want, and then you can have an unlimited or maybe a set of 4 purchasable attacks you can make. So they still make money, and that's if I'm doing 12 attacks.
It's like a raid. Same, you just have a set amount of energy.
No, I want all energy right up front. I want to be able to do all 8 attacks. So basically I want no cooldown, and I want a limited number of attacks.
Okay.
And so that way I could do all of my blitzing in 1 or 2 hours, and it shouldn't be that long, but you could do all of your blitzing in one sitting, instead of having to log in and log in and log in and log in. So if you talk about the money factor, fine. Let people buy unlimited amounts of attacks like they already do. That requires no code changes. You can still use all your cores and charges and all that kind of stuff. And if people want to do that, fantastic. But we just need something. They talked about it allows you flexibility, and I'm like, that doesn't provide any flexibility. There's still a 2-hour cooldown. So overall, big thumbs down on this. Did nothing to address the key things that we want. Any other thoughts, Fred, on these blitz changes?
No, I mean it's still not addressing the things we want with the mode. So at least we'll give him credit for more shards. Let's just see what it is before we get too excited about it, though.
Yeah, again, if it's less than 50 additional shards per tier, then it's not going to be worth it in my eyes. I mean, today's world, and let's just kind of talk about how ridiculous it is. So this is it's a good story, but in today's world, you can go from, I don't know, what is it, like 10 million for the 3 to 5, or you can go to 18 million for the 1 to 2%. So you can double the amount of blitzing you do, and that gets you 10 extra shards.
10, yeah.
I mean, jeez. And if you get to the top 2,000, that means you have to double the amount of blitzing again and get up to like 28 million, and you get 30 shards. So it's just, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's rough. So hopefully they smooth that out. Not just smooth, but more.
Yeah.
Like a lot more.
Yep.
Okay.
So the other piece was there is a milestone event coming called using the mentorship tag. It's going to run for 11 days. And clearly Scopely listens to the podcast. We said, great job for the X-Force X Marks the Spot event. They let us see the event before it started. We could figure out what the rewards were, what the tiers were, how do you get the points. So hopefully they do that again. And the one piece we complained about was tell us the duration so we can do all the math. So great job, Scopely. Bring it home. Let us see the milestones. And we will run those numbers for our listeners. The other thing, so that was the blog post, the key things that we wanted to talk about. In terms of the patch itself, holy cow, there's a lot of stuff in there. We're not going to go through those details, but I do want to call out that we do have more defects. As expected, all of the characters that have been released have a defect.
Yes.
I was surprised, and I'm going to give, again, Scopely more credit here. They came out right away and said, here are the defects that we see. So that was fantastic that they did that. They even talked about Doc Ock defects, which we don't have. So clearly they are seeing and catching things before things get released. But Beast has a problem with his basic. Doc Ock has 2 issues. Swarm has at least 1 bug. Mysterio's new passive has an issue. And then I've seen several videos of Hawkeye's passive and other things not quite working.
There's a Captain America display issue with the health and the stats or something that was also there.
There's issues with the save squads, the roster selection. So basically everything they touch, there's some defects, which is standard for them. And then the other one, which Fred, you were complaining about the other day, the new daily objective for completing all your objectives, we were not getting SBCs. And so you were hammering, where is my SBCs? And sure enough, they 1, fixed the problem last Friday night, and then 2, gave us some rewards. So fantastic there.
Did you get these?
I got the compensation. I didn't actually pay it. I had already done the daily at that point.
So I'm glad they didn't try to do something crazy about who would get, and I'm assuming everybody got this 40 and 3 or whatever, 12, 40 SBCs, 12 ABCs, and just get it over with, versus trying to figure out who did what, and how that ends up.
Yep. I mean, what's 40 SBCs going to do for you? Nothing.
Yeah. So they sell them for like $5 value probably.
But still,
something like that.
You need at least 300 to get to tier 13. You need 700 for tier 14. And oh, by the way, in case you forgot, 1,400 for tier 15. So what's 40? Who cares? Move on. All right. The other thing that I still am trying to figure out, I've seen some videos, I saw it happen once, and it happened so fast, is that Min's ult was working very weird. I had a massive opponent list of 20 players against me, ran the ultimate, and Thanos barely healed. So I don't know if this is part of some of the visual bugs on the health bar or not, or if they screwed up Min's ult. I've seen it work, I've seen it not work. So something else is going on there. So anyway, stop by the Discord or Twitter Let us know if you see any other ones. We try and keep a running list for our alliance so that we are all prepared and kind of work around that. What else? Doc Ott's kick came and surprise, not really surprise. Again, he doesn't look like he's overpowering. He's a war-specific team now kind of thing. Sure, he has value, but to me, it's a pass. I'm not going to go out of my way.
And one thing we mentioned before that we didn't know how it would work has been revealed, and it is like Sinister, which is what you predicted. It's a summon that draws the stats from him, and it follows a specific order, which had been revealed. It does not include the new characters.
Which just cracks me up.
It's the old 5.
Yep.
In a particular order.
So Doc Ock and the two chargeables of Swarm and Electro appear to be quite strong, and I'm sure they will be. But does not seem like he is nearly as viable across the board as some of the other legendaries.
So if you were to plug him in somewhere else, I think you get a Shocker. If there's no other Sinister 6, let's say you're making like a legendary soup, that's who he would come with, right?
Yep, and Shocker's only going to help Doc Ock, not anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. What else? Oh, our still haven't heard news. Those Blitz improvements did not include automation of matches, as we were hoping. And the mode still does not help players learn to do push-ups. It is still fight the team of randos. Yo-Yo, I just don't know what to do here, is still only in the premium orbs. I already spent my 9,000 cores, so I guess I should just move on. And then we still do not have any real changes to improve low-quality time. So, and then the last one we're going to add in, there's no word whatsoever on the farmability of Domino and X23. Frid, I think you need Domino still.
I do, because, Lady Luck was no luck. We're her event.
Oh, I'm putting salt in the wound. Sorry, let's move on. So I still think that X23 will not be farmable in front of the Doc Ock first event. So we'll see.
I mean, they're running out of time. The guys in the game, it's imminent now, and no word. And we're running out of time here.
Yep. So, Frid, we're running a bit long because we had so much stuff. So we're going to do Conspiracy Corner, Festivus, some more numbers all next week. Let's close out the show on a high note, and let's do the It's Very Nice section. And so, I keep picturing Borat and some of our alliance mates.
I'm gonna take this first one because the Avengers Wave 1 got a rework out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on. Is the Black Widow movie coming? Is it not coming? So very nice to just do something, and there's no requirement for a weird fifth that makes it all work. They just work together as is right now, which is, that's just nice. And it looks like there's a team here that actually, it's not, I wouldn't say meta breaking, but it makes them viable, right? It's something that you can use. So that's a good thing, I'd say. And I have my 7 Red Star Hulk. I was like, woo! But then when I saw his improvements, none were stat-based. It was more kit stuff, like speed bar. But, a 7 Red Star going more often and smashing more frequently can be good.
And countering and all that.
Yeah. So I think if you maybe retired from the game and you, obviously, who's not a fan of the Avengers? That's what most people are like. Well, finally, this team is viable, and I had spent a lot on them when I was playing. Maybe you come back to the game now that they're back. So could be a way to get some of those people that may have left the game to come back. But of course, there's always something that happens, and Blitz is harder because Hulk is always out there.
Oh yeah, man, he's I forgot about all of his counters and stuff. I was like, wait a minute, this guy's wiping me.
So, when he goes, and the auto is the worst at playing the Hulk.
Yes,
it's awful.
Absolutely.
It does it completely wrong. I'll let you take this next one because I
Oh,
know
yeah.
this is something that's like music to your ears.
Oh, yeah. So I've been talking about the fact that we had ABCs in the Alpha Raid Orbs, and they have reworked the Beta Raid to include ABCs as well. More ABCs, hooray! So this is excellent news. Gamma Raid is coming in a few days, so we hope that Gamma Raid will also get a rework. This is fantastic. ABCs are still a crazy bottleneck, so give us more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. And then unique farmability for the Doom War. So, another thing that they talked about they were going to do, and already we have the first campaign, and it had Morrows, which is bio. Everybody needs bio stuff, so this is fantastic.
And I try some of the others too, lattices, some of the stuff just to see, and I'm not noticing any weirdness with the drop rates. I see them drop all the time, so hopefully this is not accident that say, wait, we messed up. They weren't.
No, the drop rates are low, Scopely. They're real low. We need you to raise them.
No, that's a good thing. I think it's time for them to become available because they've been such a bottleneck for so long. So this is a good thing.
Excellent.
I mean, again, it's for super late game players. This campaign is no joke. I played this one. I didn't auto it. I had to play.
Yep. It was some tough stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. What else? Cyclops finally becoming farmable after 8 months of being in the game. It's going to the raid store. And you've already done some very depressing numbers, which we'll cover next week, about getting him to 7. But he is finally coming, and that is fantastic. I finally can hopefully get his 5th red star in not too distant future. And then, Frid, why don't you cover the last one?
We mentioned it already. There's a new event coming with the milestones for the start of school. Actually, my daughter started school. I know your kids started school. Everybody's back to school. So there's an event to kick that off. And it's like, we think it's like the X marks the spot. We don't know, but we will run those numbers for you. And we always appreciate and should give them credit when they keep giving us free stuff for things that we're already doing in the game. So
absolutely. So those are quite nice things. Thank you, Scopely, for those. We're obviously going to still hammer you in Blitz, but we appreciate all of those items. So with that, we've run a bit long today, and that is A-OK. There was tons of stuff to cover, and we've got yet more stuff that we will cover next week because there's so much. So with that, Frid, how can people reach out to us?
So you can write to us via email at rngendgame@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at rngendgame. You can leave a comment on the Podbean page. My favorite is always writing an Apple Podcast review. Thank you, City State 43, for this week's review. You can also engage on the public section of the Ragnarok server. Remember, that's our Alliance family cluster. And you can go engage and talk. And there's always, we post graphics there and you can engage in the discussion. Is there anywhere else?
No, that's the big stuff. That's the big stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks as always to our listeners, and stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks, everybody.
We'll talk next week. Bye-bye.